My heart was pounding, but not from fear, from purpose. Each beat was a drum echoing through my ribs, reminding me that I was still alive, still standing, even as the world threatened to collapse around me. In that moment, I felt the weight of every hope, every desperate prayer pressing down on my shoulders. The battlefield stretched before me like a broken dream, ashes swirling in the wind, shadows dancing around the fallen. Every breath tasted of smoke and iron, every heartbeat echoing the cost of what was lost. The ruins of our home smoldered in the distance, a graveyard of memories and shattered futures. The cries of the wounded and the silence of the dead mingled in the air, a haunting symphony that threatened to drown me in sorrow. My sword felt heavier than ever, stained with yesterday's regrets, memories clinging to the blade as stubbornly as the blood. I could see it, every mistake, every moment I hesitated, etched into the steel. The blade was more than a weapon, it was a ledger of my failures and my resolve, a reminder that I carried the past with me into every fight. The creature, massive and ancient, silhouetted against the flames of our shattered home. Eyes like molten gold, burning with a hunger that could swallow the world whole. Its presence was a nightmare made real, a force of nature that seemed to mock our every effort to resist. The ground trembled beneath its weight, and the air itself seemed to shudder with its rage. Every tale I'd ever heard whispered about this moment, the prophecy etched into my very bones. But standing here, with sweat stinging my eyes and the earth trembling beneath my feet, I realized something. This was more than a story written by others. This was the moment I would define for myself, the instant when legends and reality collided. The prophecy wasn't my cage, it was my spark. It was the fire that lit my soul, the challenge that dared me to rise above my fate. I felt resolve ignite within me, burning away the doubt and fear that had haunted me for so long. I tightened my grip, knuckles white, and stepped forward. Each step was a promise to myself, a vow that I would not be defined by the shadows of the past or the expectations of others. The dust swirled around my boots, but I moved with purpose, unyielding. The creature's roar split the sky, thunder rolling across the field. Around me, the last embers of hope flared in the eyes of those who still watched, desperate for a sign. Their faces, streaked with ash and fear, turned toward me, searching for courage in my stance. I could feel their hope, fragile and flickering, resting on my shoulders. But I wasn't here for them. I wasn't here to survive. I was here to fight for something greater than myself, to challenge the darkness that threatened to consume us all. I was here to prove that even in the face of despair, one person's will could make a difference. I was here to end this, to draw a line in the ashes and say, no more. The time for running was over, the time for doubt was gone. Steel clashed against claw, and the world shrank to the space between us. Fear tried to crawl up my spine, but I crushed it beneath my boot. The sound of metal meeting bone rang out, a defiant cry against the darkness. Every muscle in my body screamed, but I refused to yield. Each blow I struck was for every friend I'd lost, every promise I'd made, every dream that still mattered. Their faces flashed before my eyes, smiling, laughing, fighting by my side. I carried their hopes with me, their voices urging me onward, refusing to let me fall. The ground shook as the creature lunged, jaws snapping inches from my face. I rolled away, pain shooting through my shoulder, but I refused to fall. I met its gaze, saw the ancient malice burning there, and answered with everything I had left. The world seemed to slow, every heartbeat a lifetime, every movement a battle between life and death. My sword flashed, sparks flying, and for a heartbeat all the world hung in balance. The air was thick with tension, the outcome uncertain, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting to see who would break first. It wasn't destiny that guided my hand. It was the sum of every choice, every sacrifice, every lesson learned in pain and fire. I was not a puppet of fate. I was the author of my own story. It was choice, my choice, the freedom to stand, to fight, to decide who I would become, no matter what the world expected of me. In that instant, I claimed my destiny as my own. I leapt, blade singing, and with a cry that belonged to every hero who'd come before me, I struck. The force of my will, my hope, my rage, all poured into that single blow, a beacon of defiance against the darkness. For a moment time held its breath, then the creature collapsed, darkness bleeding into the earth. The shadows recoiled, the air cleared, and the world seemed to exhale in relief. The nightmare was over, at least for now. Silence fell, broken only by the crackle of dying flames. I stood alone, battered and breathless, but unbroken. The battle was over. The scars would remain, but so would the lessons, the strength I'd found in the fire. But my journey, my story, was just beginning. The dawn crept over the horizon, painting the ruins gold, and I knew that as long as I could choose, I would keep fighting for hope, for freedom, for a future I would shape with my own hands.